What did you think of the Jedi Tomb concept?
Oh, I'm kind of confused. From like an Empire standpoint, what would be the upside to having a Jedi Tomb?
So I have a theory. I want you to give me your best guess, though.
Okay.
If you had to try.
So, I don't know. The first thing that comes to mind is in Mando when they're trying to use Grogu's like blood, essentially.
Okay, interesting.
And probably midichlorian count, I don't know, to maybe be able to evoke some force wielding and maybe non-force users. I have no clue.
I'm going to try to hint you in a direction and see if you can pick it up.
Oh, geez. Our Star Wars viewers are going to be like, oh, Luke's really not with it.
Do you remember a certain facility that was on a planet, a remote planet?
All right, so right now
where
there's a planet in Star Wars
where a certain recently deceased Sith Lord used to conduct experiments. So, do you remember
You're talking
Plagueis?
Palpatine? Okay, yeah.
Where Plagueis was obsessed with the ability to manipulate midichlorians to create life.
Yeah.
So there's this.
Oh.
There you go.
So you're thinking like this is one of Vader's little side gigs, trying to like maybe bring Padme back or something?
I don't know what specifically they're doing, but so in Plagueis, Darth Plagueis becomes obsessed with immortality.
Yeah.
Okay. Which we learned from Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
When Palpatine is talking to Anakin at that weird like bubble opera, and he's basically talking about how like he had a master that had learned to manipulate the midichlorians to create life.
Yeah.
So Darth Plagueis was obsessed with immortality and the ability to effectively heal himself.
Yeah.
And so that he could live forever. And he had a facility, and on this facility, he basically just kept prisoners that were effectively dead, but like were kept as I don't think they were actually dead. I think they were on the verge of death, and then he would basically he would bring them to the verge of death and then attempt to save them, and most of them would die. But eventually it worked, and he figured out how to do that. And then essentially the book implies that when that happens, the Force reacts to balance, because the Sith had become so powerful in that moment. The Force reacted by conceiving Anakin at the same time to balance things out.
I see.
Which was like that was like a huge subplot in Plagueis. So when I saw the Jedi Tomb, and I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But the first place my brain went was like, they are harvesting Force user corpses / recently deceased / nearly deceased and conducting experiments with them.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised about that, because that's essentially why Palpatine was able to get Anakin to join the dark side. Because he was like, hey, you've got these visions of Padme dying, I can help you. So it totally makes sense that maybe Vader feels a little bit gypped and is still trying to do that, still trying to make that happen where he can evoke, Force users in order to like make life or somehow save lives that have maybe already died.
For sure. They talk a lot in all of the Sith books that kind of dive into the Sith about these different areas of the Force study. Like there's like, you think of the dark side of the Force, but it manifests in different ways. Like, for instance, Sith sorcery, which is like what you see from the
Night Sisters.
The Night Sisters. Yeah. Or you see like Sith alchemy, which is what Plagueis was doing, which was essentially all the stuff having to do with manipulating corpses and life and that kind of thing. Yeah, there's a big one of that with the Sith Lord that's on that planet with all the weird like half creature, half robots in the Bane. Bane. I can't remember her name, but there's that was a Sith alchemy. Darth Bane's apprentice was big into Sith sorcery. It's all these like basically like these different iterations of ability to command the Force.
Right.
So, but there's an expectation within the Sith that you are supposed to grow that knowledge over the years so like, for instance, the Sith win, they take control of the galaxy. They have an obligation to continue to get stronger. So it makes sense that they would do things like harvest Force users and do things like that. I also thought like, okay, so the
really quick too. I think that, so in episode 9, I think you see like the like the little Snokes inside of the
that's a great example.
Almost like back to tanks, like somehow, and I'm sure someone's already developed a great parallel between the two, but I wonder if it's loosely related to something like that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I would assume that it absolutely is, but just so moving to the how I think they get to that position. So Fortress Inquisitorious is the highlight of this particular episode.
I knew you'd like it a lot, yeah.
So Fortress Inquisitorious, which we learned is in the Mustafar system, which I thought was very interesting.
Fitting.
It appears to be on a water moon,
which is also a really cool idea.
Yes, which is surrounding this lava planet. It appears that it is designed deliberately in the ocean to effectively be like a prison that is incredibly difficult to, which makes sense because like if you were going to harvest and keep all of the Force users in the galaxy in one place, it would have to be a remarkably secure facility.
Yeah.
So a couple things with Fortress Inquisitorious. The chair that they bring Leia to. Mm-hmm. That chair makes it a previous appearance in Jedi Fallen Order, where the Inquisitors basically, if you were a Force user and you get captured, they take you there to interrogate you, but most importantly, to torture you and to try to turn you into an Inquisitor.
Yeah.
So my theory on it is like they bring all the Force users there, they attempt to turn them. If they can turn them, great, and it's probably a very small percentage because the Jedi are so strong-willed.
Yeah.
And then the ones that don't die or fail or come near to death and are frozen in whatever that... It doesn't look like carbonite, but it seemed whatever that tomb is. Yeah. A couple other things like...
That was so unexpected, too, because...
That was not what I expected. Tomb would have been so far down on my list.
So far down. And what's kind of cool about it that I thought Disney did a really good job on is for people who are Star Wars nerds like Jason and I, as soon as we see the tomb, we're like, okay, like big picture, what's going on here? But then for anybody who's just kind of casually watching Kenobi, I think they'd just be like, oh, a tomb, that's interesting. And then just kind of move on.
And so keep it moving.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool because like it doesn't dominate the episode for people who aren't super, super into Star Wars. And I just thought it was a good move on Disney's part.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And so, but in the game, you infiltrate the fortress the same way by diving into the water and swimming in through an exhaust vent. There's a scene in the so we have the water falling down on the stormtroopers. In the game, one of the Jedi throws their lightsaber into the window and drops water on Vader. And Vader has to literally fight off the water.
The architect is talked to after this. Dude, we have two instances where water's getting into our facility. Yeah. Like, what are you doing?
No, well, like,
what kind of glass did you use? He's like, glass. I used glass.
No, and I just imagine, wait, and it wasn't laser proof? No, so the other thing I thought about was like, I thought about is like, you just imagine like the Empire, like they hire an architect and the architect comes in and the Imperial officers are all sitting down. The architect's like, all right, here's the deal. So imagine it's like an aquarium, okay? You're walking from the barracks to the training facility, but you're seeing sharks swimming around you. and then literally all the Imperial officers are like, that'd be dope, dude. When I go for my morning workout, I like literally see all these sharks and stuff. It's like, that's a great idea.
Sick. Do it. I know. When I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, that glass broke pretty quickly for where it's at. It's like at the base of an ocean. Yeah.
Oh, dude. It was hilarious. Yeah. But just in general, I thought the whole Fortress Inquisitorious vibe was cool. I was hoping we would see them. I was hoping the Inquisitor soldiers. So remember, like we talked about this in our last show, but the Inquisitor like branch of the military is effectively like special forces.
Yeah,
and they're led by the Inquisitors themselves, but they also have these like basically like dark trooper type of vibe. They wear the dark armor, kind of like the guys that were traveling around with Director Krennic and Rogue One type of vibe. But they had a mix of different kinds. They have guys that hold the guns, which you saw one of those in this episode. Yeah. But they also, and I wonder if we're going to see them at some point, they also have like guys that hold like electro staves, very similar to what the droids held in Revenge of the Sith that could deflect lightsabers. And I was expecting to see one of those, but we ended up seeing the guys with the gun. But that was cool. It was cool to see kind of a bunch of the elements of of the Inquisitor branch kind of come to the surface.
Yeah.
And most importantly, the Star Wars people doing a great job of connecting all the new canon material to each other. So like
that'd be super hard to do. We've talked about that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what makes a guy like you, who's a very busy man, take the time to potentially play Jedi Survivor or Jedi Fallen Order is like if they can come to you and be like, hey, this is canon. And not only is it canon, but we'll probably tie it into other stuff around the universe. Like that all of a sudden a video game that I played 2 years ago carries major weight in the scope of the Star Wars universe.
No, that is really cool to see. That is really cool. And it makes me need to play the video games.
Exactly.
Fortunately and unfortunately. So like I'm not a huge gamer at all. Like I spend my time, doing woodworking and trying to hang out with my wife, who happens to be a nurse and works nights. So like our schedules are literally opposite. So whenever we can, we hang out. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to be a little bit of a gamer, I think, to get some canon under my belt.
When Jedi Survivor comes out, I think I need to just come over on the nights Elena's working and we just need to play it.
Yeah.
Like it just needs to happen. Carly, I'm going over to Luke's. So play video games.
We're playing video games. It's for the podcast, okay?
Yes.
It's super important.
It's vitally important.
And afterwards, we're watching Clone Wars, which is an adult cartoon, okay? We're not little kids.